the final day of American combat in Vietnam. Dawn breaks over Saigon. The air is thick with anticipation. For the young American soldiers still on Vietnamese soil, this sunrise marks more than just another day. It's the end of an era. After 3,144 days of direct combat involvement, it comes down to this, March 29, 1973, the day the last American combat boots would touch Vietnamese soil. Captain William Fishbach checks his watch. He's keeping track of every Marine, making sure no one is left behind. "I remember counting heads," he would later write, "knowing each number brought us closer to the end." Around them, America is literally packing up and leaving. Equipment worth millions of dollars is being loaded onto ships. Some items are given to South Vietnamese forces, others shipped home. 20 years of American military presence is being dismantled in a matter of hours. Look at their faces. Some have been here for months, others for years. Among them is Sergeant James Peterson, who carries a diary filled with 365 marked days, one for each day he spent counting down to this moment. By midday, the exodus is in full swing. Transport planes lift off one after another, each carrying pieces of America's longest war back across the Pacific. The distinctive whop 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 of Huey helicopters, once the soundtrack of this war, slowly fades. The numbers tell one story: 58,220 Americans dead, over 150,000 wounded. But the human story, that's still being written. Every year, thousands of Vietnam veterans return to this land, not as soldiers, but as people seeking peace with their past. Today, Vietnam is one of America's fastest-growing trading partners. Streets where soldiers once patrolled are now filled with tourists and business people. Former enemies have become friends. But for those who were there on March 29, 1973, this day remains frozen in time. As the last plane lifted off Vietnamese soil that day, Staff Sergeant Michael Andrews wrote in his notebook, "Never thought leaving would be harder than staying, but it is." When we look back at March 29, 1973, we see more than just an exit. We see a moment that forced America to redefine itself, to question its role in the world, and to learn hard lessons about war and peace that still echo today. Remember this date, not just as the end of a war, but as a reminder that every conflict, no matter how long, must eventually find its way to peace. If you enjoyed History Sparks, where every day you can watch a historical event, hit the subscribe and like buttons.